Welcome on board, chosen one. Funny how everyone pretended they did not see you coming. Please stop scrolling right now and listen to my voice. This is not a random video on your feed, because it is an urgent and divine interception. They thought they could easily bury you in the dark. They thought your silence meant you were weak. But they were absolutely wrong. Look around you right now. The people who once ignored your texts and drained your energy are suddenly feeling incredibly uncomfortable. They are panicking behind closed doors. You can feel their sudden shift in energy, even if they are miles away, while heaven is slowly pulling back the curtain on their lies. This is happening because their entire reality is collapsing. Heaven is dismantling their foundation, while you sit in complete and utter silence. You do not need to lift a single finger today. Your quiet authority is doing all the heavy lifting for you. The tables are finally turning in your favor, and the same people who tried to destroy your peace are now watching everything they built crumble into absolute dust right before their eyes. But wait, there is a deeply hidden message inside this massive energetic shift. There is a secret reason why they are desperately trying to crawl back into your life right now. It is something you will completely miss if you swipe away too soon. If you leave this message now, you will lose the exact key needed to unlock your final and glorious victory. Do not take your eyes off this screen. The heavy spiritual attacks you have been facing recently are not just bad luck. They are absolute proof that the enemy is terrified of what you are rapidly becoming. A massive transfer of power has just been approved in your name, but the darkness has laid a very clever trap right before the finish line to make you fail. I need you to deeply understand the magnitude of this exact moment. You are standing on the edge of a completely new timeline. The universe has perfectly aligned this collision of events to expose the hidden truth to your soul. Those who plotted against you in secret are about to be exposed in the bright light. Their fake masks are slipping off one by one. Do you remember the long nights you cried yourself to sleep? You thought you were being unfairly punished by the universe. You actually believed the horrible lies they whispered behind your back. But heaven was silently recording every single tear and every single bitter betrayal. Now the cosmic scales of justice are finally balancing out for you. Stay locked on this message until the very last second. If you close this video, you will step out of the protective circle I am drawing for you right now. You will face the upcoming spiritual storm completely unprotected and alone. The secret I am about to reveal is the ultimate weapon against their manipulation, and it will change how you walk through this world forever. Take one slow and deep breath right now. Let the fresh air fill your lungs and push out all the heavy doubt. Can you feel that slight pull in your chest? That is your own beautiful intuition confirming every single word I am saying to you today. Your spirit knows this is the exact truth you have been desperately waiting to hear for months. The manipulative people who took advantage of your pure kindness are running out of time. Their karmic cycle has reached its absolute expiration date, and right now they are scrambling to find a way to steal your bright light one last time. I am going to show you exactly how to block them permanently. You must simply promise to stay with me. This is the final warning before the great spiritual divide happens. You are stepping into a high frequency where they simply cannot exist anymore. They are practically suffocating in your new and powerful atmosphere. Prepare yourself for the ultimate revelation, because what happens next will shatter every illusion they ever created to keep you trapped in their toxic web. I know exactly how deeply tired you are right now. The invisible weight on your shoulders is incredibly heavy. You have carried the emotional burdens of everyone around you for years, and every single time you tried to set a firm boundary, they expertly manipulated you into feeling like the selfish one. You freely gave them all your pure energy. You poured your golden heart into their completely empty cups. You swallowed your brutal truth just to keep the fragile peace. You forced a smile when your heart was practically shattering inside your chest. They took your endless patience for granted every single day. They looked at your pure kindness and secretly labeled it as a weakness. And they fully expected you to just keep taking their disrespect forever, but they misjudged your fierce soul. Do you remember jolting awake at 3 in the morning? Your anxious mind was racing with 1,000 different terrifying thoughts. You stared at the dark ceiling while your chest felt tight and you could hardly catch your breath. That was absolutely not just normal human anxiety. That was your spiritual body violently rejecting the toxic environment you were forcing yourself to stay in. Think about those specific draining people in your life. Whenever their name suddenly pops up on your phone, your energy instantly drops to 0. You feel a sudden and sharp ache in your stomach. You feel totally exhausted before you even speak a single word to them. I am here to tell you that you are not crazy. Your divine intuition was screaming the absolute truth. Stop blaming yourself for the painful delays and the bitter failures. Stop thinking you did something terribly wrong to deserve this harsh treatment. You simply loved damaged people who did not have the spiritual capacity to love you back. You tried desperately to heal broken individuals who actually enjoyed being broken, and they dragged you down into their endless drama just to feed their starving egos. You always felt like the strange anomaly in the room. You hated those meaningless social interactions that everyone else seemed to blindly enjoy. You craved deep and authentic connections in a dark world, obsessed with superficial games. That intense and heavy loneliness was slowly crushing you. You felt like you were speaking a totally different language that nobody else could ever understand. You are the one who survived the brutal storm completely alone. Nobody came to rescue you when the cold water was rapidly rising. You had to teach yourself how to swim while they stood on the safe shore and watched you struggle. They offered cheap, empty words while you were drowning in actual despair. But you miraculously fought your way back to the surface with your own bare hands. They secretly wanted you to stumble and fall. They smiled warmly in your face but celebrated wildly when you finally broke down. They felt deeply threatened by your natural radiant light because it effortlessly exposed their ugly hidden shadows. So they subtly tried to dim your shine with tiny criticisms and passive-aggressive little jokes. They wanted to keep you small so they could feel powerful. But you played your heavy cards with absolute quietness. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were firmly committed to misunderstanding you. You simply backed away and chose the highly elevated path of total silence. And that sudden silence was the most terrifying thing you could have ever done to them. Because a narcissist cannot manipulate a target they can no longer hear or see. You are now the empath with heavy iron boundaries. The sad days of allowing people to treat your sacred energy like a public park are officially over. You firmly closed the gates, you locked the heavy doors, and you finally realized that your mental peace is worth far more than their temporary and fake approval. You stopped shrinking your massive soul to fit into their tiny little boxes. This is exactly why they are panicking so much right now. They realize they have permanently lost their favorite source of free spiritual energy. They are frantically scrambling to figure out what you are doing because your silence is truly deafening. They used to push your sensitive buttons and predict your emotional reactions perfectly, but now they get absolutely nothing from your end. Hit subscribe right now to establish a divine energy receiving station. Do this physical action to lock your protective shield in place. The noisy world may not notice your silent and painful sacrifices. The blind crowd may never applaud the brutal battles you fought inside your own mind. But heaven has recorded every single time you bravely chose forgiveness over bitter and bloody revenge. You were enrolled in a brutal training camp for your soul. They were simply the temporary tools the universe used to push you toward your ultimate destiny. The ignorant crowd is always drawn to loud and completely empty vessels. They richly reward the noisy manipulators while completely ignoring the quiet and humble warriors. You felt painfully invisible for so long. The heavy metal chains of their crushing expectations are finally falling off your tired wrists. You do not owe them a single apology. You do not owe them an explanation for your sudden and complete absence. You are actively cutting the invisible energy cords that tied your bright future to their miserable past. Notice how your physical body actually feels lighter today. Notice how the constant buzzing of sharp anxiety in your head is finally starting to fade away. That is the beautiful physical manifestation of you taking your absolute power back. You are successfully purging their toxic residue from your sacred energetic field. You are finally breathing your own clean air again. Listen closely to what I am about to confidently say next. The arrogant people who underestimated you are about to witness a massive miracle they cannot logically explain. They aggressively pushed you into the dark soil, thinking they were burying you alive. But they did not realize you were a highly protected divine seed. And the intense darkness was exactly what you needed to break open. They called you a coward when you finally walked away. They whispered that you were simply too weak to handle the pressure, but they were looking at the situation through the dirty lens of their own ego. Your silent retreat was never an act of surrender. It was a calculated and highly protected divine isolation. You did not run away from the fight because you were scared. You walked away because heaven urgently ordered you to leave that toxic room. The universe deliberately pulled you into the quiet wilderness. Your energetic frequency was becoming far too precious to be wasted on meaningless battles. And the Creator knew that staying in that low vibration would eventually destroy your beautiful spirit. You were separated for a massive upgrade. Do you see how drastically your life changed when the isolation began? The phone suddenly stopped ringing. The invitations to social events completely disappeared. You felt like you were abruptly abandoned by the entire world. But the universe was actually doing you a massive favor. It was forcefully clearing out all the heavy debris from your immediate environment. Every person who suddenly ghosted you was actually a blocked curse. Every closed door was a direct intervention from your highest spiritual guides. Stop mourning the loss of people who were secretly praying for your downfall. They were never assigned to your ultimate destiny. They were simply passing tests disguised as your close friends and lovers. And you successfully passed the test. Your season of intense loneliness was completely misunderstood by the masses. They view being alone as a terrifying punishment because they cannot stand their own dark thoughts. But for a true master of reality, solitude is the ultimate training ground. It is the only place where your spiritual hardware can be safely rewired without any noisy interference from the outside world. You needed that absolute silence to finally hear your own voice again. For years you allowed their loud opinions to completely drown out your sharp intuition. You mistakenly believed their loud voices held more authority than your quiet inner knowing. But the divine isolation stripped away all their fake authority. It left you alone in the dark, with nothing but the raw truth. And the truth is that you are incredibly powerful. You hold a rare frequency that literally terrifies the dark entities operating through those broken people. They constantly provoked you because your emotional reactions were their favorite food. They needed you to scream and cry. They desperately needed you to argue back so they could drain your brilliant golden energy. But when you chose silence, you cut off their primary food supply. Your refusal to engage was the ultimate act of spiritual warfare. You literally starved their demons by simply choosing peace over bitter conflict. That is exactly why they hate your current boundaries so much. You took away their favorite toy and replaced it with a massive iron wall they cannot climb. Do not let anyone guilt-trip you about your current distance. You do not owe anyone access to your sacred space. The people who are truly meant for your next chapter will never demand that you lower your vibration to make them comfortable. They will gladly meet you at your new elevated frequency, but those old familiar faces simply cannot survive in this pure high altitude. This is the profound beauty of your current isolation phase. It acts as an automatic filter that burns away any fake intentions. When you sit completely still in your quiet authority, the universe fights your battles in the spiritual realm. You do not need to defend your pure character against their desperate lies. Heaven is already preparing their brutal karmic return. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you. The silence you wrapped around yourself is an impenetrable energy shield. When you stopped explaining yourself to them, you officially reclaimed your crown as a weapon of light. You stopped leaking your vital life force into bottomless black holes, and that hoarded energy is now rapidly building your glorious new timeline. You might feel lonely some nights when the house is totally quiet. You might scroll through old photos and wonder why things had to end so aggressively. But please remember that a painful ending is always the messy birthplace of a beautiful new era. You were brutally removed from their lives because God knew they would never survive where you are going next. The divine separation protocol was extremely painful, but absolutely necessary. You are a cycle breaker, carrying the heavy generational wealth of your entire bloodline. You could not afford to stay attached to anchors that were determined to drag you to the bottom of the ocean. Your temporary loneliness is simply the heavy price of your eternal freedom. Embrace this quiet room with everything you have. Breathe in the absolute safety of knowing that nobody can manipulate you today. Nobody can suddenly text you and ruin your entire afternoon with their chaotic drama. You are finally safe from the endless emotional roller coasters they forced you to ride. Your nervous system is finally resetting to a beautiful baseline of total peace. Every time you choose to remain silent, you are actively leveling up. You are teaching your soul that it does not need outside validation to simply exist. You are proving to the universe that you are fully ready to handle massive blessings. Because if you cannot protect your peace in the quiet moments, you will never be able to protect your wealth in the chaotic ones. The narcissists and energy vampires are absolutely furious right now. They look at your closed doors and they feel an intense burning rage. They thought you would eventually come crawling back to them out of sheer desperation and loneliness. But you proved them entirely wrong. You built a magnificent castle out of the exact same stones they threw at you in the dark. Your divine isolation is almost coming to an end. But you must firmly hold the line for just a little while longer. Do not give in to the sudden urge to reach out to toxic, familiar faces. The universe is testing your resolve right now. Heaven is watching to see if you will trade your hard-earned peace for a few minutes of cheap and fake comfort. Do not fail this test. The intense panic you sense from them right now is not a coincidence. There is a precise and brutal spiritual mechanism at play here. When you walked away in total silence, you triggered a massive collapse in their energetic system. They are currently losing their absolute minds because they are spiritually starving. You cut off their main supply. Narcissists do not generate their own light because they are completely cut off from the divine source. They survive by attaching themselves to a pure and radiant soul like yours, and they slowly siphon your precious life force to constantly power their own fake reality. When you finally close the heavy door, you cut their main power line. Imagine a dark and scary house that suddenly loses its stolen electricity. That is exactly what is happening inside their mind right now. The protective matrix they built around their fragile ego is rapidly falling apart. They can no longer hide their ugly truth from themselves, and they are forced to sit in the dark with their own demons. This is the exact reason why they are acting so erratic and totally chaotic. They try to provoke you through mutual friends or random strange messages. They desperately need you to react so they can steal a quick hit of your energy. But your quiet authority is completely starving them out of existence. You are watching their spiritual withdrawal unfold. The universe designed this specific mechanism to carefully protect the chosen ones. Karmic justice is not always a sudden lightning strike from heaven, because sometimes karma is simply the painful absence of your golden presence. Their ultimate punishment is having to live the rest of their miserable lives without your pure love. They lost a rare treasure. You were the only thing keeping their chaotic and messy lives together. Your constant forgiveness acted as a divine shield over their extremely bad decisions. Every single time they messed up, your pure energy stepped in to quietly fix it. But heaven finally removed your protective hand from their toxic situation. Now they have to face the raw consequences. And those heavy consequences are hitting them like a massive freight train today. Everything they touch is slowly turning into absolute dust right before their eyes. The new people they try to manipulate are seeing right through their fake masks. Their dark charm is failing miserably because it is not powered by your bright energy anymore. They are utterly exposed. Type 111 down in the comments to claim this alignment. Do not let their frantic panic trick you into feeling sorry for their current situation. Their suffering is a direct result of their own greedy choices, while you are simply resting in your divine protection. They gladly watched you bleed, and now they are crying over a tiny paper cut. They are currently searching for a brand new empath to drain and destroy, but nobody else carries the rare frequency that you effortlessly hold. They will spend the rest of their sad lives endlessly chasing the ghost of your pure love. They will look for your profound depth in shallow puddles, and they will always fail. You left a permanent mark they cannot erase. This is the absolute power of a cycle breaker who finally wakes up. You do not have to plot, revenge, or try to ruin their public reputation. The simple act of you vibrating at a higher frequency is enough to completely shatter their reality. Your elevated timeline is incredibly toxic to their bottom-feeding spirits. They simply cannot breathe the clean air where you live now. Notice how they desperately try to project their massive failures onto you. They want the blind world to believe that you were the terrible problem all along. But the spiritual realm sees the absolute truth behind their desperate and pathetic lies. While they are busy spreading nasty rumors, heaven is busy preparing your massive reward. You are being relocated to a highly protected space. Their intense panic will continue to escalate over the next few weeks. You might see them making terrible decisions and completely embarrassing themselves in public. Their perfectly crafted fake image is cracking because they lack the spiritual glue to hold it together. Do not reach out to help them pick up the broken little pieces. You must leave them exactly where they are. The universe is deliberately dismantling their fake kingdom piece by piece. This is a necessary cosmic operation to completely restore the balance they arrogantly disrupted. They thought they could manipulate a child of light and just walk away freely. But heaven does not let anyone touch a chosen one without severe and heavy repercussions. The spiritual bill has finally come due. You must fiercely protect your pure energy like it is the most valuable currency on earth, because in the invisible spiritual realm, it absolutely is. They are frantically trying to figure out the exact secret to your sudden and glorious elevation. But they will never understand that your massive power comes directly from your deep connection to the divine source. Their entire manipulative matrix was a carefully constructed and fragile illusion. They built their fake kingdom on the very weak foundation of lies and bitter manipulation. And now that you have pulled your essential truth away from them, the entire structure is collapsing rapidly. You get a quiet front row seat to watch the absolute destruction of their false reality. Keep your heavy iron boundaries incredibly strict and your heart perfectly calm. The wild storm raging in their miserable lives has absolutely nothing to do with you anymore. You are merely the quiet catalyst that triggered their inevitable and painful downfall. The intense panic they feel is the sudden realization that they messed with the wrong soul. They woke up a sleeping giant. Before we go to the deeper signs, you need to hear this clearly. Do not let their sudden downfall make you doubt your own bright and beautiful path. You have fully earned the quiet peace you are experiencing right now. The panic they are feeling is the exact low frequency they tried to force upon you for years. It is simply returning to the rightful owner. Let us talk about exactly what they did to you in the dark. They lied directly to your face while they were smiling warmly. They twisted your pure words to make you look completely insane to the general public. They aggressively played the poor victim, and they held the very knife that cut you deeply while pretending to care. They thought the universe would ignore it forever. They built their entire pathetic empire on a very fragile foundation of ugly lies. They stole your brilliant ideas and proudly claimed them as their own. They secretly manipulated your mutual friends, and they worked very hard to isolate you completely from the crowd so you would feel totally alone. They wanted you to feel completely crazy. But heaven saw every hidden betrayal. The universe keeps a very detailed record of every emotional debt. And those toxic manipulators racked up a massive spiritual debt by constantly feeding on your golden energy. They thought they were being incredibly clever and stealthy. But they were actually just digging their own deep graves while you quietly watched their foolish actions unfold over the past year. Now the heavy dirt is falling right back on top of them. You are currently witnessing the profound destruction of their false matrix. Piece by piece, their carefully crafted public image is shattering into a million sharp fragments. The loyal people they manipulated are suddenly waking up, and those victims are finally walking away from the toxic environment they created. Their dirty secrets are spilling out into the bright light. They can no longer contain the absolute chaos. This is exactly why you keep seeing the number 777 everywhere you go. You look at your phone. The time perfectly aligns to give you a divine message. 777 is the ultimate cosmic confirmation that karmic justice is actively working. It means the heavy spiritual scales are finally tipping violently in your favor, and you are about to receive your beautiful reward. You might also be seeing the number 999 very frequently these days. This sacred number represents the absolute and final ending of a brutal cycle. The dark chapter of you being their energetic punching bag is officially closed forever. The universe is putting a heavy iron padlock on that terrible timeline because heaven refuses to let them drain your precious life force again. They can never access your pure frequency. Notice the strange synchronicities happening around you right now. You randomly hear about their sudden failures without even asking anyone about them. People casually mention their sudden bad luck while you just sit there and quietly smile. Heaven is literally sending you the physical receipts of their massive downfall, and you do not have to lift a single finger to destroy their fake reality. You just watch. Their finances are suddenly drying up because they no longer have your abundant energy to steal. Their fake relationships are crumbling fast. A foundation of lies cannot hold any real weight. Every single door they try to open suddenly slams shut right in their faces. They are experiencing the exact intense frustration they purposely caused you, and they have absolutely nobody else to blame for this massive tragedy. They desperately try to put out one fire, but 3 more immediately ignite around them. This is the precise mechanics of a divine curse returning to its original sender. You absorbed their toxic attacks for so long while silently asking the universe for help. And the Creator finally answered your desperate prayers by forcefully reflecting their dark magic right back at their own heads while they were completely unprepared. The mirror is absolutely perfect. You might notice that electronic devices acted very strange when they were around. Light bulbs flickered. Phones glitched constantly. Their toxic aura heavily disrupted the natural flow of energy in your sacred space. But now your physical home feels incredibly light, and the heavy fog has completely lifted from your living room to reveal a perfectly calm atmosphere. Your beautiful house is a safe sanctuary again. A weapon of light does not need to engage in petty street fights. You operate on a completely different dimension of quiet and majestic authority. Let them scream and panic while their fake world burns to the ground. Your only job is to stand perfectly still and observe the mighty hand of God working, because their complete destruction is a powerful lesson for everyone. You are entirely protected. You must not feel guilty when you see them violently struggling today. They had a million different chances to simply treat you right. They could have easily apologized for their terrible abuse, but their massive ego refused to let them humble themselves before a chosen one. So the universe stepped in to brutally humble them instead, and their current intense pain is entirely self-inflicted by their own choices. This is the spectacular phase of the great spiritual purge. The universe is forcefully sweeping all the dirty trash out of your high-frequency timeline. You are being completely cleansed from their nasty residue. The heavy, dark attachments are falling off. Breathe deeply and allow this divine purification to wash over your tired soul while you finally step into the warm light of your true destiny. Every single tear you shed in the dark has watered the magnificent garden of your new reality. While they are currently losing absolutely everything, you are quietly gaining the whole entire world. This total role reversal was written in the ancient stars long before you were even born. They played their foolish games with your pure heart, but heaven already rigged the final cosmic score in your favor. They are currently begging the universe for a tiny drop of mercy, but the spiritual realm is showing them the exact same coldness they showed you. They completely ignored you when you were desperately crying for their help. Karma has a perfectly flawless memory, and it never ever misses a single tiny detail when it comes to balancing the scales. They are drinking the bitter poison they mixed. Do you feel the sudden rush of warm energy flowing through your veins today? That is your stolen power rapidly rushing back into your physical body. The invisible cords they used to drain you have been permanently severed by Archangel Michael. You are reclaiming every single piece of your fractured soul right now, and you are becoming totally whole and incredibly dangerous to the darkness once again. Listen closely, but wait. Before you fully celebrate your massive victory, I must address something absolutely critical. There is a deeply hidden trap right in front of you. The darkness knows it has completely lost the main war, but it is desperately trying to win one final little battle. This brings us to the ultimate revelation about your entirely new timeline. When your radiant light begins to master your physical reality, you become a massive magnet. Your pure frequency is suddenly broadcasting a powerful signal across the spiritual realm, and this brilliant light attracts magnificent blessings. But it also attracts dangerous imposters trying to steal your glorious crown. You must stay incredibly alert today. The fatal trap I warned you about earlier is finally here. Right before your dawn breaks, the enemy always sends a clever counterfeit. A counterfeit is a carefully disguised illusion that looks exactly like your deeply answered prayer. It wears the familiar face of everything you ever wanted in the dark past, but it is entirely hollow inside. This fake blessing will test your new boundaries severely. It might be a highly toxic ex, suddenly texting you an emotional apology. It might be a jealous old friend crawling back to offer a fake peace treaty. They will swear they have completely changed their nasty ways. They will brightly promise you the beautiful world. Do not fall for this pathetic trick. This sudden appearance is absolutely not a divine coincidence. The universe is intentionally allowing this counterfeit to step directly into your path. Heaven is running a final security check on your spiritual system. God wants to see if you will trade your promised kingdom for a small piece of familiar trash. You must completely ignore their desperate knock. You have grown far too powerful to accept dirty crumbs anymore. A healed person simply no longer tolerates terrible confusion disguised as true love. You no longer accept blatant disrespect disguised as brutal honesty. If you reply to their toxic message, you instantly reset the painful karmic cycle. You willingly give them the golden key back. They do not actually miss your beautiful soul at all. They only miss the incredible benefits your pure energy freely provided them. They miss having a reliable punching bag to comfortably absorb their endless emotional garbage. The dark entities attaching to them are starving and desperately begging for a quick meal. Keep your iron gates firmly locked shut. Your silence is the sharp sword that cuts right through their fake illusion. When you completely ignore their sneaky attempt to return, you pass the final cosmic test. You physically prove to the universe that you are entirely ready for the real blessing. And the exact moment you reject the cheap counterfeit, the heavy doors of true abundance will swing wide open. Do not let dangerous nostalgia trick your brilliant mind. Nostalgia is a dirty liar that conveniently erases the horrible pain they purposely caused you. It makes you romantically miss a completely fake version of them that never actually existed. Stay perfectly grounded in your harsh reality. Look at the brutal facts of how they completely abandoned you in the cold rain. You are the absolute master of your own reality now. A true master does not lower their royal standards out of temporary boredom or fleeting loneliness. The divine kingdom connection you have been crying for is literally standing right outside your door. But it cannot safely enter your house if the living room is still occupied by a toxic ghost from your past. Take a deep breath and quickly release the heavy past. You must ruthlessly clear the energetic space right now. Block their phone number without a single ounce of dark guilt. Delete their fake apologies without even reading them fully. Your absolute refusal to engage is the final, glorious signature on your spiritual emancipation document. The long and painful waiting season is officially over. I need you to pause and deeply absorb that massive truth. The heavy iron chains holding you back have completely shattered, and you are no longer a blind victim of their toxic circumstances. You are fully awake. You are incredibly dangerous to the darkness. Your quiet authority is now dominating the atmosphere. The dry desert you walked through for years has suddenly burst into a magnificent oasis of divine favor. Every single door that was unfairly closed in your face is being blown completely off its hinges. Can you physically feel that intense, energetic shift? That is the glorious frequency of absolute victory. The universe is proudly crowning you today. You are no longer the fragile empath who desperately begged to be completely understood by willfully blind people. The brutal crucible of pain has magically forged you into the untouchable master of your own reality. From this exact moment on, your bright energy demands total respect without a single word being spoken, because you know your true worth. You are a flawless masterpiece. You do not need to raise your voice to violently shift the heavy atmosphere in any room. Your quiet presence alone deeply terrifies the dark entities hiding inside those broken narcissists. They thought your peaceful silence meant you were incredibly weak, but the terrifying silence hits entirely different when they finally realize you were the storm all along. They secretly plotted to keep you permanently trapped in a low vibration of fear and endless self-doubt. They wanted you to constantly question your own brilliant sanity while they drained your life force. But every single lie they threw at you only sharpened your divine intuition to an absolute razor edge. You became the exact terrifying weapon you were desperately trying to survive. You no longer react to their pathetic attempts to trigger your old emotional wounds, and you simply observe their chaotic behavior with a deep sense of royal pity. Their desperate manipulation tactics bounce right off your impenetrable energy shield. You have successfully outgrown the tiny, miserable boxes they tried to forcefully keep you in for years. The massive generational wealth and profound peace you were promised are flowing effortlessly into your brand new timeline. Heaven is aggressively releasing the massive blessings that were unfairly delayed by their dark magic. You are stepping directly into the exact glorious life you were destined to boldly rule. You survived the brutal fire. You became pure gold. All those bitter tears and endless nights of feeling completely abandoned were actually building this magnificent spiritual throne for you. You get to sit perfectly still while heaven entirely destroys your hidden enemies. The majestic table is being beautifully prepared for you right in the middle of their chaotic presence, and they are forced to completely watch you rise. Do you feel the intense heat radiating in your chest right now? That is your beautiful spirit actively aligning with the highest vibration of the entire universe, while your physical body completely rejects their old toxicity. You have completely mastered the brutal art of divine detachment. You simply do not care about their petty little games anymore. The pitch-black darkness has permanently retreated far behind you. The glorious dawn of your brand new era is shining its brightest golden rays directly onto your spiritual crown. You must fiercely protect this high vibration you just achieved. The enemy wants you to step out of this beautiful euphoric state and return to your old familiar anxieties. But you must absolutely refuse to let them win today. Your pure soul is literally vibrating with intense divine electricity at this exact second. You have successfully crossed the dangerous bridge from being a wounded survivor to an anointed leader. The spiritual war is completely over, and you are the sole victorious champion. But you must take a physical action to safely anchor this massive energy into your body right now. If you just watch this and walk away, the heavy world will try to immediately steal your newfound joy. You need to officially declare your brand new identity to the watchful universe. You must create an absolute shield of protection around this beautiful miracle. Heaven is actively waiting for your final command to permanently lock this glorious reality into place forever. Take one incredibly deep breath and hold it for a brief second. Feel the unstoppable power of the Creator surging through every single cell in your physical body. You are completely untouchable and divinely protected from all their pathetic attacks. The glorious moment of sealing your eternal fate is approaching right now. Listen to my final words very closely. The glorious dawn of your brand new era is finally here. You have completely survived the brutal and dark spiritual warfare. Every single heavy chain that held you back is permanently broken today. The universe is incredibly proud of your absolute strength. You did not let their toxic darkness extinguish your pure light, because your spirit is heavily protected by divine forces. You stood perfectly firm in your deep faith. Now it is time to formally lock this magnificent reality into physical place. You must loudly declare your ultimate victory to the watchful universe, to lock in this glorious frequency and create an absolute shield of protection around your new life. I need you to type AMN down in the comments right now. This simple physical action will completely seal your beautiful fate. Do not let this extremely sacred moment pass you by today. When you type that word, you are actively signaling heaven that you are entirely ready for the next level. You are physically proving that your hands are fully open to receive your massive wealth. The enemy desperately wants you to simply close this video and forget this profound truth. They want you to leave your energetic gates wide open for their dark attacks. But you are far too wise to fall for their pathetic tricks again. You are a powerful master of reality who actively protects their divine peace against any outside interference. Your written declaration is the heavy iron padlock on your new spiritual door. It blocks the desperate narcissists from ever accessing your beautiful energy again. Your pure soul is completely safe inside this high vibration. If this fiery message has reignited the faith inside you today, do not keep this magnificent blessing entirely to yourself. There is another beautiful soul out there currently bleeding in the dark of despair while searching for answers. They are desperately crying out for a guiding light, just like you once did. You hold the exact divine medicine they desperately need to survive the cold night. Share this profound message with someone who truly needs it right now. Sowing this powerful seed of hope today is actively multiplying the blessing for your own bright future. When you spread the light, you prove your absolute obedience to the Creator. Heaven always rewards the generous warriors who reach back to pull others out of the dark trenches. You are a chosen leader. Your quiet authority is now actively changing the entire frequency of the planet. Every time you refuse to argue and simply walk away in total peace, you bring a massive wave of divine healing to your entire generational bloodline. The dark cycle of manipulation ends with you today because you chose to break the ancient curse. Your magnificent future is completely secure and brilliantly bright. You have truly won. Go out into the physical world and boldly shine your blinding light. Let them watch you rise higher than they ever thought was humanly possible. I am incredibly honored to witness your glorious spiritual ascension today as you finally take your rightful throne. Type your final declaration of absolute victory and claim your golden crown. The beautiful kingdom is yours forever. Stay completely blessed and highly protected.